An autopsy of Mayor Greg Fisk was performed by the state medical examiner in Anchorage today. JP officers were in attendance. The preliminary autopsy report indicates the cause of Mayor Fisk's death was natural causes. According to the findings, the external injuries sustained by Mayor Fisk were consistent with an injury due to falling or stumbling into objects, and no foul play is indicated. A final autopsy report, including toxicology results, is not expected for 2 to 8 weeks, but the preliminary results are in. If anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer anything I could at this time.
What was the injury that was on his body?
He had some injuries on his face that were bleeding. He has some bruising in other places. So there were some injuries. There was some blood from those injuries. Where their injuries are is consistent with the fall and things that he would have hit in the house as he was falling.
So foul play completely ruled out?
The report of the autopsy is natural causes, the preliminary report.
Can you describe where the body was found? Was it at the bottom of the stairs, against something?
It was in the front room, just inside that front door at the residence. There is some steep stairs that go up to a loft, but we don't think he was on those stairs when he fell. It was more in there's a room and a little kitchen area there. It was in that area.
Do you have a time that maybe happened?
It was in the morning, sometime after 6:30 in the morning.
Becky Borth, the Associated Press. When you say natural causes, do we know if it was a heart attack? Anything more specific?
He did have some history of some heart problems, and that's what we believe it was.
Can you speak up a little bit?
He did have a history of heart problems, and that's what we believe it was.
Do you believe it was heart problems?
Uh-huh.
Can you any more specific on what?
I'd have to wait to get the final report back.
So you think that he maybe had a heart attack or some heart issues and fell from there?
Correct.
How many JPD officers attended the autopsy in Anchorage?
There were 2 JPD officers in Anchorage. They were already in Anchorage for other things, and so they attended the autopsy while they were there.
And what did you learn from the autopsy? Was it something you found affirmatively or something you didn't find? How did you come to the conclusion?
You'd have the medical examiner is the one that does that. I'm not really the medical examiner, so the report we got back was it was natural causes, and their methodology is theirs. They're very good at what they do. So we got the preliminary report back that it was natural causes.
Can you speak a little bit to the department's handling of this? I mean, there was sort of a vacuum and a lot of speculation about what might have happened. It's gotten attention on national cable TV shows speculating about it. Can you talk about how the department handled, I guess, the information, and if it was typical, if there's anything that the department could have done differently?
So when the call first came in, there was a death. It was unattended. There was no one who knew the cause of death. The first person on the scene, who was the son, when he saw it, there was blood. You could see injuries. So the first assumption was someone had done something to him. So we proceeded, not knowing the cause of death, as if it could potentially be something nefarious. We have an obligation to do that, to rule out all those possibilities. So I think some rumors got generated out of that because he had some injuries. We treated it as an unattended death, so we preserved all the evidence. And as we said from the beginning, any reports of an assault or something like that was purely speculation. I think I said multiple times that it's also very likely that he fell. But we wanted to make sure that we had everything documented and everything thoroughly investigated in the chance that the autopsy came back and said something different, that we'd be prepared to do an investigation at that point. So there was a time period in which we just didn't have any answers, and people being people, they run with the unknown for that couple of days, and It's Juneau, Alaska. It's an exotic location. It's a newly elected mayor, and so it was an intriguing story. It's a tragic story for Juneau because we're still lost our mayor. Tragic story for the family. So I think that's what happened.
You spoke with the family, and what is their reaction to this news?
We did notify the family. That's part of why we had to have you guys wait for a little bit, is because we wanted to make sure the family knew before. We don't want them to find out in a press conference. So we did notify the family. They're of course grieving. They've been very helpful in everything we've needed, and they'll go through the grieving process.
Any word on services from them, or what happens next to the body?
I don't have any information on that.
Do they get a copy of the preliminary results, the family?
They won't get a copy of it, no. The final autopsy will come out, the final results will come out in a couple of months. The preliminary results don't come in a written document that we have at this point. So that's a couple of months off.
And will they get a copy of that?
I don't know for sure if they'll get a copy or not.
And how about the house? Is it still an investigation scene, or?
We have a couple of things to wrap up at the house, and then we'll be done there. We should be done there in the next couple of hours.
And then does it get turned over to the family of the house?
Yes, it will.
Chief Johnson, did when his son found him, did he go inside or did he stay outside because he was concerned by the scene and thinking something else happened?
Well, as you can imagine, if you're a son and you find your father dead, you're going to go into shock. And one thing that we know from people when they have traumatic things like that happen is they don't remember every detail. So he's been, he's a grieving son. He doesn't remember going into the house. We don't believe that he did. But any details of exactly what he did when he got there, he's a very grieving family member who's just found his father dead. And, I've been around a lot of these, even with officers, and you just don't get details correct when you're in that kind of traumatic situation. So he did everything he was supposed to do. He got a hold of 911. He called for help. Fire responded. Police responded. So he did everything he could do.
Could you just clarify again the relationship between the body and the stairs, where it was in relation? Do we believe that he could have fallen down the stairs?
We don't think he did fall down the stairs. There are stairs in that front room area, the relatively steep stairs. We don't think he was on those stairs. We think it was a fall. Not from stairs, just a fall.
Just a fall, standing to the floor.
Correct.
That would cause such bruising and blood in the face.
Correct, yes. That's not unusual. My mom fell about a year ago. She's very short, and if you'd look at her, she looked like she was beat up. But people fall and faces get injured. It can look like there was an assault that took place, and that's why, the first looks and people thought maybe there was an assault take place, but it's consistent with the fall. And that's the information we got back from the medical examiner as well.
Were there injuries beyond the face, or was the face where the injuries?
There was some bruising as well. Again, it was consistent with where we could measure of countertops and things like that. So it looks like he hit a couple things as going down. So we have evidence to corroborate the medical examiner's finding that the facial injuries were not a cause of death, that it was natural causes, and those injuries are consistent with what we were able to document at the scene as to what he could have hit had he fallen. So we're confident in that finding.
The scene, I would imagine, then, is
fairly in one particular area. In other words, he didn't go around the house knocking things down or like that. It was kept kind of in one general area.
From where the fall was, I don't know if he stumbled around a little bit before he fell. He may have been coming out of a different room, but the fall happened right where he was. So the fall and what he hit was all in one area. There could have been, when people do have that happen, they can move around a little bit. So he may have moved a little bit before then.
I didn't hear you. Did you say you think he hit a countertop? Or what object was involved, if any?
Yeah, there was a counter, some things attached to the counter, some things like that it looks like he hit.
And the body again was found in the front entryway?
Correct. It's a front room area, so right in the door there's a little front room area. Kitchen's right next to it. It's all pretty tight and compact in there.
So is the supposition that he was unconscious when he fell and thus wasn't able to protect his face or something?
Yes.
Did GPD contribute at all to the speculation by saying, don't speculate? Is there anything you could have done differently to provide more information, faster information, anything like that?
We didn't have any information to provide at that point. We would have just been guessing. So no, I don't think there's anything more we could have provided. And you know, Juneau's a small town relatively. It's a very close-knit town, and things travel in Juneau quite quickly. And we had a lot of people who were speculating very nefarious activities taking place. And our intent was to stop those rumors because, again, there were many possibilities. So for you national folks, it may have done something. For people locally, the intent was that what they were already being told was happening, we wanted to make sure they knew that that was not necessarily what we believed was happening. So again, we're a small town, news travels quickly and sometimes it's not accurate, and we were thinking of our people and our community and not necessarily about the rest of the country. And that's a decision I'll make every day. I care more about Juneau than whatever the rest of the country might think.
And just to be clear one more time, the thought is something with his heart caused him to black out or fall.
Yes, that's correct. Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.